Yeah, so in a way this is a follow-up to the first question. This was such a fascinating panel, and the question it leaves me with is, and I want to say a little bit about how I see it running through all these papers, but is what the hell are we supposed to do about the state, right? Because you could actually draw completely different conclusions. And like in Julie's paper, the problem with the state is, I'm simplifying here, right? But a big problem with the state is that it's absent, right? It is, or it's not providing certain kinds of protection from harm. It's not providing certain kinds of safety nets. In Kimberly's paper, it also seems to be sort of operating in a shadow way. A legitimized state, right, is absent, and so there's a kind of a shadow state that is instead dependent on these certain, well, or equally dependent on these certain kinds of roles. And then in Margot's paper, the state is both, I mean, this is not my area either personally or professionally, but it seems to me that part of what's going on, right, in the debate over what fantasy is that the prison industrial complex is really absent, right? I mean, people aren't really thinking about their relations with the state. They're privatizing these fantasies so that the state is absent there. And then in Reina's paper, it's most the reverse of the others, where it seems hard to imagine a way in which the state could be present, or it doesn't seem like your interlocutors are really imagining a way in which the state could be present in any kind of benevolent way. So I guess my question would be best answered by everybody speaking at once, but my question is there anything we can say about a role for the state that would be positive, I guess is one way of putting it, although that's not quite where I meant to wind up, but I'll leave it there.
I think that's a really question that keeps me up at night. You know, like if we come from the understanding that like colonialism isn't over, it's actually like ongoing, like it's an ongoing occupation of like where we are right now, then it's hard to like imagine like a benevolent ongoing occupation. And so a primary project might be to support the unoccupation of where we are right now, while like making sure that we're getting what we need in order to survive. So that's like my orientation around that, and also naming like the structural abandonment aspect of it's like so real, that keeps like so many bodies like for many months at a time not being found or being held and tortured. So anyway, that's what I think about.
I mean, that's the question we all deal with. I think it's the biggest question, right? Because you want this, in some ways, we're paying for the state to be here. We're paying for our participation in the state. And I think I think it was something that Reina said in terms of what is it that we're defending and how do we understand rights? And I think that's kind of the key. And for me, not only what is a space we're occupying, but how do we understand citizenship, right? And how is that citizenship, really, it's going to exist, probably is going to exist somewhere. But if we are solely understanding citizenship as part of this reproduction of this heteropatriarchy within this capitalist system, then that may be where we really need to begin. If we begin with the state, we're going to run in a circle. But maybe if we think about of what are we citizens to and how are we defining like humanity might be a place to begin, because what I thought was really interesting is that I was in the same position where my field work occurred in this moment of the, financial crisis. And so it's like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is terrible. But what was interesting in these cases is that you see the shrinking of the safety net while the expansion of the LAPD and the LA Sheriff Departments, where you had big banners downtown saying, apply to the sheriffs, we need more members. And then you have this heightened visibility at this and this over-policing in one moment. Right, and then it's like, what's the afterlife of once the body is found? Where's the follow-up? And so I think that's part of what we're talking about is who has rights to citizenship, and two, how do we have those strange lives? Are those strange lives part of how we understand this, citizens to an area? And for me, I hope that's where maybe we could begin, but I don't know.
That's great.